Hello everyone, welcome back to United Spotlight. We're back again to talk about another disastrous result as I've dropped my camera. What a great start. It's about as catastrophe and as horrific as Man United's performances of late. I'm going to get straight in there with what I think about the Newcastle game. I watched it on the TV, as you probably all have, and we've all heard the fallout about it so far. Number one, what do I want to say about it? I think Eric Ten Hag is to blame. Personally, we can look at individual performances and people being out of position, this, that, the other, work rate and that lot. I'll get onto it in a minute, but I want to talk about Ten Hag to start with and his team selections. He's clearly fallen out with Varane. He has got an issue with his own signings, as in Mount and Amrabat. I just don't get it. We've been praying or begging for Luke Shaw to come back. By the way, a good player, but a player again who's been through all of Man United's failures over the last 8 to 10 years. We can say he's this good, that good. He's the saviour of our defence. He has been a prolific player throughout this entire time. Should we not be questioning him as well? I think we should, but at the moment, we'll let him off. He should be playing left back, and Varane and Maguire should be centre back, and Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, whichever one you want to put, should be at right back. Why are we putting Dalot at left back and Shaw at centre back when we've got Varane sat on the bench? I don't give a crap what any of you lot think about Varane. He's one of the best centre backs in the league, and if he's fit, he should be playing. The guy's been he's been looked over since he's come to the Premiership. He's miles better than any centre-back we've got. He's miles better than Martinez. Let's face it. He is. And for some reason, him and Ten Hag, clearly, Summits has gone on again with Ten Hag and another star at Man United. So we've got him. We have De Gea, who's been outed. Ronaldo, it was all his fault, remember? Sancho, as much as I've probably said on here before, I think Sancho's situation is ridiculous, and it was. In hindsight, you can look back at it with everything that's going on now with all these other people and think, has Sancho got a point? He shouldn't be doing what he is doing, but maybe he's the one who's obviously spoken out about it. You'll never know both sides of it, but you have to take some sympathy out of it, I think, for Sancho at the minute with what's happening with the rest of them. It looks like Casemiro has got some kind of problem as well, where he's been scapegoated left, right and centre, and there's talk of him leaving as well. Why is it that McTominay, Maguire, Rashford, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, the people who were here under Ollie are the ones who are now playing again? And the people who've won stuff, who were probably in the dressing room kicking up a fuss about the way things are being done at the club, are being scapegoated and outed. Maybe you should listen to the people that have won things, even if they're tearing up trees and causing a rift in the dressing room, because they're the ones who've been there and done it. And it seems to me like Ten Hag is falling again to what Ollie fell into, that I'm going to throw all my philosophies out the window, if he had any to start with, and I'm going to fall back on these players or put a shift in for me and a reliable enough scrape the odd win here and there and keep me from getting sacked now. But the inevitability is I'm going to get sacked anyway. I'd rather Ten Hag died by his sword. I'd rather he went out and we lost games and he was playing the philosophy he wanted to. If he wants to play Bruno and Mount as 2 10s, do it and lose. And go out on the way you want to play instead of going to scapegoat survival football where you go, I'm going back to all these lot to try and save myself again. But once you've done that, there's no saving yourself anyway. You're gone. I don't understand why we're not playing Mainu and Amrabat or Mainu and McTominay or McTominay and Amrabat as two actual midfielders and Bruno above them, if you want to play Bruno there. Because personally, you all know my thoughts on Bruno. I think he's world-class in moments, but over 90 minutes in team shape and basics, he's extremely poor. And I just want to talk about McTominay because he's getting hammered. And again, you'll all know I'm not a McTominay fan whatsoever, but he's not getting caught out of position in his central midfield position this often and that high up the pitch all the time. He's been told by Ten Hag to play that high up the pitch. He's a second striker half the time, which leaves whoever's the central midfielder, either whether it's Mainu, Casemiro, Amrabat, whoever we've got in midfield, they're on their own because Bruno is up there and McTominay is up there. And they just get absolutely walked past. Casemiro hasn't gone from one of the greatest central midfielders in the world to over a summer all of a sudden looking like he couldn't play for Luton. It's a myth. It's ridiculous. It's Eric Ten Hag's tactics. If he's going to want to play those 2 10s or one number 10 who's super attacking and then one that gets up with the attack and then doesn't track back as quick, he may as well play Bruno and Mount. If you're playing McTominay, just get him to sit. Or don't play McTominay at all and just play Mainu and Casemiro or Amrabat and Casemiro or Amrabat and Mainu. Any of the combination of the two. I just don't get it. His tactics are so weird. His wingers are weird. Garnacho's had a few good games on the left, so he's sticking with him fine. But then Anthony comes back, who works hard on the right, if nothing else, and he's dropped for Rashford. And just talking about Rashford, he's there. I've used him for this video, and his mentality thing, well, he needs to go have a look at his own head, because he is a joke. And you all know my feelings on Rashford. I feel we should have sold him if there was any opportunity to sell him to PSG, which there probably wasn't really. He should have been gone. I'm not going to get him up. I can't remember if I've got him up before, but go and look at his stats over the last 5 years. He's had one good season last year, which I'd argue was half a good season because after the second international break, he went missing then. He had a spell where everything he hit went in, and that is Rashford. He's a moments player. He's a Poundland Jamie Vardy. He's a counter-attacking player. Him and Bruno are counter players that do not fit a so-called possession system, and you cannot play counter and try and be progressive. You've got to sit back and do it. And do you think he works as hard as Vardy? Absolutely no way. Is he as good a finisher as Vardy? I mean, I wouldn't say he's much better, if better. Vardy used to bag for fun for Leicester as a counter player. What else does Rashford offer than a ball over the top and getting behind? Which is why he turns up. People say he turns up in big games. It's because there's more space in behind versus the bigger teams. Versus these smaller teams we've been playing in the last month or two, he doesn't do anything because he gets no space in behind. And he's walking around at the weekend against Newcastle is a disgrace. And I know a lot of Newcastle fans. In fact, for some reason, around my area, there's loads of Newcastle fans, even though I live 2.5 hours away from Newcastle. 2 of them went to the game up in Newcastle, and their takeaway from that game was that Rashford was a disgrace. Over their own win, they come back and said Rashford's performance was disgraceful. And look at Anthony Gordon, a £40 million player from Everton that everyone said, what are they buying him for? He's the epitome of what Rashford should be as a minimum. Absolute commitment, work rate, fight, tenacity. If nothing else, he epitomises what Rashford should be doing. The difference is at the minute, Gordon does all that and he's actually better than him. He drives with the ball, he don't lose it, he gets in the box, he's scoring goals. Rashford, every time he gets the ball, he dribbles into someone. He don't cross it. He never passes. I don't get it. What is his problem? And I don't want to pin it all on him, but he is a consistent issue with our team. If he is not scoring goals, he should not be starting because that is all he offers. The only thing he offers is goals, nothing else. I must say on the midfield, just put two people in the midfield and get them to hold the midfield and play the ball around. And like Bruno is all over the place. 1 minute he's pressing, 1 minute he's defending, the next minute he's fouling people pettily, the next minute he's shouting people. I think Paul Scholes said it the other day. I don't know if anyone's seen the clip, that he needs to start learning to play his position better. For the probably 25 minutes in the first half against Newcastle, I thought Bruno had an all right game because he was getting the ball and playing it simple. I thought he's actually calming down here. He's doing all right. But he's all over. And people say, oh, well, he's playing with crap around him and all this lot. Playing with crap around you doesn't stop you from getting hold of the ball and making a 10-yard pass. That's got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it at all. He shouldn't be pressing keepers. It should be one of the front three pressing keepers. If their keeper's got the ball, he should be dropping into midfield to shore the midfield three up, not being stood up there with Højlund or Martial or whoever it is, because as soon as the keeper plays the ball, he's out the game. And then everyone will praise him for sprinting back and making a tackle. He wouldn't need to sprint back and make a tackle if he was in position to start with. It's just like unbelievable. And I think a lot of this is Erik ten Hag's tactics. He's trying to play that kind of like 5 at the back, 4 defenders, 1 midfielder and 4 or 5 up front. And it just does not work in the Premier League, clearly. And it clearly does not work with our players because they haven't got a clue how to do it. But that's what's my take on the Newcastle game. I think it's an absolute disgrace. Take home from Newcastle fans that I know that Rashford was an absolute disgrace in that game. And that's my point on McTominay, Rashford, Bruno, and not just them three, the lot of them. All of them. People say we've defended well. We've defended well versus extremely poor teams, and we've still conceded 5-10 shots in the box. That's not defending well. That's the teams we've played over the last month or two not having people who can finish us off. We were lucky to not lose 3 or 4 by Newcastle. Teams like Villa with Watkins up front, Liverpool coming up, West Ham with Bowen and them lot. They're not going to waste these kind of chances. And we've got them in the next few games. We've got Chelsea, I think, midweek this week, haven't we? We're probably lucky that they ain't got a frigging proper striker. That's probably our own saving grace in that game. Because Chelsea are as bad as us. They're all over the place. So I'd probably say Chelsea. I wouldn't surprise me if the Chelsea game's a draw, but we don't draw, do we? So it's going to go one way or the other. I don't even want to predict it because right now I predict a Chelsea win. Because everyone will be like, we've got to bounce back from the Newcastle performance. We'll need a performance. When do they ever perform? How many times are we going to sit here and say, we come again, we need to bounce back? Hopefully this is the starting block for us to carry on. It never happens. But anyway, I just wanted to get on quickly. People saying that we've got loads of injuries. That'll change the way we play when they're back, when Martinez is back, when Casemiro's back, blah, blah, blah. No, it won't. Tottenham, and I've said it before, Newcastle, all of them sides, them type of sides, their managers have been in 5 minutes and they've got a game plan, a way they want to play. Newcastle had 13 players out against us. They had like no bench and they still played us off the park with basically their second string team. Why? Because they all know what they're doing and they've all got a game plan. It doesn't matter if somebody comes into their teams that aren't as good as the first team because they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Our lot go out like a Sunday League team. Marcus, you're right wing. Bruno, you play cam. Scott, you go in midfield, mate. But like when we get forward, I want you to get forward. That is literally, to me, like the level of coaching that they are having at the minute. Somebody tell me otherwise. Well, I played Sunday League football since I was bloody 6 years old. I'm 40 now. I see nothing different on a Man United touchline than I do on my Sunday League team touchline. It's pathetic. These lot are on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, millions of pounds a year. There's probably more tactical nous in my Sunday League team than there is in them lot. Even my Sunday League team, if we go into a cup game and we go 2-0 up, we'll sit back off and soak the pressure up and get rid of the ball. We won't pretend we're playing basketball and all stand up front like these lot do. It's proper weird. I don't get it. Even if it's coming from the manager, why don't the captain, like Roy Keane and that said in the past, sometimes it's up to the captain to take control of what's happening on the pitch. Do you see Bruno doing that? No. Because he stood up front all the time, wanting his little moment of glory. But yeah, injuries and team play style, it's not an excuse. It's a load of crap. Tottenham have got loads of injuries. They're going out drawing 3-3 with City in an exciting game of football. Newcastle are coming to us, absolutely giving us an absolute hiding with 13 people out. It's a myth. The injury thing will make us better. If we had every player in our team, we'd play exactly the same way. There'd be no change to style whatsoever. We might be a little bit more solid. We might concede a few less goals, but you wouldn't see us playing any better than we are. We just have some better players on the pitch. It's pathetic. But that is my rant for today and what I think's going on. I mean, this takeover could not happen quick enough. Not that it's a takeover, it's 25%. But I won't give Eric Ten Hag a single penny to spend unless we have the director of football and that in place. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again, he has not got a track record of any of his signings being any good. A lot of them. Mount, he spent 60 million quid on, don't even know how to use him. Amrabat, he was desperate for in the summer, got a loan, don't play him. Onana drops everything in his own net. Casemiro, I don't think was his signing. It was a panic buy, but he's not playing anyway. I mean, who else was there? There's Højlund up front. Good prospect. As a deal, way too much money. 70 million quid for someone who scored 9 career goals. He hasn't scored a Premier League goal. Say what you like about the Champions League, but the Champions League, in reality, until you get to the knockout stage, isn't very good. Galatasaray and Copenhagen are probably like bottom half Prem teams, maybe even Championship teams at best, Copenhagen. Like, when you get to the knockout stages and you start facing the top clubs, that's when it's difficult. And I'd argue that's why Højlund's scoring goals in the Champions League, because the quality of team are poor. They're crap. Copenhagen are crap. Galatasaray are full of has-been Premier League players. They're crap. And we can't beat them either. But I want to end the video on a positive, but I just don't see one. Like, we're linked to some kid from Stuttgart for 15 million quid as a backup striker. We've got a prospect striker. We don't need another one. We need a proper striker. We've got Mainu coming through in the midfield, so we don't need a prospect midfielder. We need an established midfielder. You know what I mean? But not someone who's 30. Someone who's in the mid-20s who's experienced in the league and the Champions League. Not some like 20-year-old from Leipzig who you hope's going to be good in 3 or 4 years. we need some stability in the team and experience, because we've either got all young kids coming through or everyone's aged. We've got to remember, whether you like Bruno or not, he's 29 years old. People are writing Casemiro off at 31, and he's playing in a position where he doesn't have to do as much running. If we're looking to rebuild this club right now, and we're looking to get Casemiro, Varane, Maguire, these types out who are 30 odd years old and on a lot of money, well, Bruno's included in that. He's 29 on probably a couple of £100,000 a week. He doesn't suit the so-called style we're moving to. Should we not be looking at getting rid of him? And I know he's captain and Ten Hag loves him and half the fan base think he's incredible. But if you're looking at the club to move forward in the next couple of years to a style of play that Eric Ten Hag wants to so-called do with this possession pressing type football, is Bruno the man to build the team around at 29 years old? No, he's not. There's a question for you in the comments. Forget the now. Think 2-3 years' time. Should we be building a club around Bruno Fernandes now, when he's 29 years old and we're looking to rebuild for the future? And on that note, like, favourite, subscribe if you've got this far. All does me a favour. We'll end with Rashford's mentality thing, because I need one myself watching Man United. And I will see you all on the next video. And hopefully we might have won a game for once. Peace.